and welcome to our third quarterly report. That's correct, we are now in October. July, August, and September are now behind us, and everything has fallen to pieces. Yes, this is going to be a very interesting quarterly report, because nothing was achieved of goals or anything. Several things were ultimately left behind, and I am now a PhD student. Yes, so in creating my goals, I did mention things that aren't always going to be in my power, aren't going to be included in the goals. Tiggs is here! She was lying comfortably and quietly over there, and then I started the camera. So, what's new there? Hi, Tiggies. I mentioned that things that were out of my control wouldn't be included in my list of goals, because that's kind of a terrible thing to do to yourself, right? So, I have in fact achieved something great, and started my PhD program, but that's not included in here. So altogether, everything looks a little Let's go through it. I think we have to be fully honest, which is sometimes these things don't work out. And so there are a couple of my goals that have in fact fallen through, and there are a few more that I'm very carefully working my way towards, and a few that I've simply had to rethink in the light of everything that I am doing right now. So let's go ahead and take a look at things. Goals for 2019. Yeah, I wouldn't say any of these have really been achieved in this quarter. There are definitely some things that I've been working on, for example, decreasing clutter. Not that my desk behind me looks like it right now, but I'm also in the middle of moving. So, I'm in the process of getting things packed, and by next week's vlog, I will mostly be into the new apartment. So I've been decreasing clutter a bit as we go, and did a clothing unhaul, as it were, shortly before university started. So there's that at least. Going out with friends at least once a month, well, that's particularly interesting because thanks to D&D, I have a weekly just way of getting out and socializing that is very nice. So that's something that's definitely been achieved, that I'm keeping up as we go, and it's awesome. And in fact, the D&D thing really did start up and power through in this particular quarter, so I will take that as a win. Yeah, that's about it. That's really about it. Arguably, I've been trying to keep up on these Friday videos, but you'll notice that there's been some radio silence for the past 2 weeks. Yeah, sorry about that. Between work, school, utter exhaustion, and dying of the plague, sometimes you have got to take care of yourself first. And that's the excuse I'm going to use on all of these things, because my blog has been absolutely abandoned for the most part at the moment. There are some hopes for it a little later on, but as it stands, that's fallen through entirely. This journal is pretty much useless because I haven't touched it at all recently. I have been using an agenda for university, but that's mostly for university and not any particular personal goals or projects. And when it comes to writing, well, I've been so focused on keeping up with writing here in university that everything else has sort of fallen through. At this point, I have 2 classes that require almost a weekly writing responses for the readings we're doing, So that's just great. Same things actually happened with my reading goals, because I have completed a single book in September, and that was a book for class. Actually, I'm sort of curious, where does that put me? Where does that put me on my 50-week goal? I actually have no idea where am I writing. 34. And that's a lie. I did complete another one in September, and that was a King Arthur one that I was reading. But I finished it before school started, which tells you a lot. I am doing a lot of reading, but they're shorter articles, stories, things that don't really count as books or texts in any way. So, yeah. We're at the quarterly report. The next couple of Fun Day Friday videos are set up until November 15th, so that's good. One of them still needs to get filmed, and that's actually going to be the next Fun Day Friday video, so not next week, but the week after, which will be an apartment tour of my new apartment, because I'm basic like that. Sometimes you gotta celebrate the little things. Yeah, that's my poor blog, where we are there. That's just, yeah, that's been empty. So, how am I feeling? Like I said, tired, overworked, a little under the weather, just consistently, and a little frustrated with how goals haven't been going places. But the key thing I have to keep in mind is that I am, in fact, going places. My PhD was never part of this whole thing because part of it is a little out of my control. I can put together as good an application as I can manage, but from there it depends on who all else is applying that year and things like that. The same is true for funding applications I'm actually working on at the moment. So putting that on here is just going to be disheartening. I am still working towards my goals. In fact, I am working majorly towards what are ultimately my goals for much of the rest of my life, my career coming up. I want to be a professor at university, and my PhD is going to help me get there. So the key thing I have to keep in mind, especially for the rest of this year, where these are already written down, but the whole world and year is going to function very differently from here on out, that sometimes I'm going to have to let other things go. There are definitely some projects that I have in my head that I would love to get out on paper, both creative in the non-fiction sense, the fiction sense, and the academic sense. So it's going to be really interesting. I just have to, again, not be super critical about myself because something that I put together at the start of the year is not holding up at the end of it. That's kind of to be expected. I really had a positive image of what this entire year would be like, but a positive image that was actually a bit of a backup plan should my PhD not go through. So sitting here and saying, yeah, this isn't quite working out, but hey, I'm still working towards my goals, is critical right now. So I think this is kind of going to be the last quarterly report. The next one really is going to be a year in review right at the end of the year again. So you might get a bit of a quarterly report there, a look at how the last 3 months of the year shaped up, but it's going to be a much broader look at the year in its entirety, and I don't think I'm going to hold myself to going just by what I've got written here. This is really useful, and I have achieved some fantastic goals that I had planned out in here, but things also change. So I'm not going to be super critical. I'm going to allow that some things have fallen through. I'm not always going to be able to keep up, especially when I get sick, tired, or need to focus on school, but I'm going to do my best anyways. So, that is July, August, and September. Things have changed in the game, and I am changing with them. I will talk to you vlog style next week as we're in the middle of switching over apartments, and then the week after you get to take a look at that. Until then, I'm going to sign off and say, keep working towards your goals, even if they're different from what you've written down at the start of the year. Goals change. And that's okay. Talk to you later.